actually told them when you're in the past, it's been where you, when you set up your account, you tell them ahead of time where you want it to record in the cloud.
That's what I thought. It used to just record to the cloud. So crazy. Well, thank you all for attending. I know there's another meeting going on right now, so I think there will be more people jumping in with us shortly. I wanted to make sure that we record so we can get the information out there. I did make a couple changes just to the Zoom link here on the agenda. Other than that, everything is the same. So we're going to just go through and do updates on the COPs and how that's going and kind of the direction in which we're going to be moving forward. Megan, I know you're here, so please support me on this one. Sure. I was trying to remember. It feels like it was so long ago. And I remember we talked about pathways and regalia, but like.
Yeah, I think the big theme was to talk about graduation, and Renee shared some information that I'm sure she can share again. That was basically a vendor she works with who designed some custom regalia, like a logo thing that could go and be customized with your college or program name and images. And it's a medallion. It could be placed on a stole. We talked about cords. We also talked about little celebrations that could happen. And the need for some folks to spend some leftover money. They could have still, been doing that right now, and others are planning for the future. The other focus was, what are kind of issues in the different pathways? So we kind of crowdsourced, and we will review that again briefly at the May 12th community practice meeting, the final one for the semester. And it was basically to gather ideas from everyone about what would we need and want for, the Bringing Education Systems Together convening that may take place this August in Sacramento or online. So I think that was it.
I think so. Yeah, it was good conversations in those breakout rooms. I remember getting a lot of great feedback for sure.
Yes, I think one of the areas of our breakout pathway rooms that needed the most attention, that had the most needs, was like how to recruit paraprofessionals into the field. So not just incoming high schoolers through clubs and guided pathways, but also looking at folks that are already in the system that may not be continuing on for some reason. And I was in a breakout room with a K-12 district person who talked about, not everyone keeps going. How can we continue people in the grow your own kind of model?
Yeah. So, we just created a course to support that. Do any of y'all have something like that?
What does your course look like?
It's an introduction to paraeducator and special education. Oh. We haven't started it yet. Its first semester is fall, but we built it. Well, I built it after Sherry told me what to put in it. Basically, she had met with the county, because in SLO we really need more paraeducators, and so she talked to the HR people and what they needed. And then I, along with someone who is actually a special education paraeducator background, built a course that met those needs. So it's just like, and we have certificates for paraeducator. So we have 2 certificates for paraeducators. And I'm still like wrapping my brain around all of it, but yeah, we have a achievement and a specialization. And then we also have a paraprofessional pre-teaching certificate, or AA.
That's awesome. Maybe we'll definitely probably reach out to you as we're working on preparing then to kind of pick your brain a little bit about what that looks like.
Yeah,
that was definitely a need that we heard quite a bit about. That one in dual enrollment was another big conversation we had. So developing those partnerships with K-12.
Yeah, I'm sorry I can't come because I teach during those community practice times this semester.
We're recording them, so they are on the website. So
okay, cool.
Yeah, but I'll make sure that I just send them to you, Rosemary. When I send them to Bobby, I'll send them to you as well.
Well, thank you. That'd be very helpful.
Right in your inbox. Okay.
That'll be great. Then I can not forget about them.
Awesome. Perfect. And yeah, Megan's asking, I don't know if that falls under ECE or not, or if it's part of EDU. So there's definitely options for potential workshops that we can create for the conference coming up and really look at then the pathway that where each of those belong would be awesome.
Yeah, for ours, we put it in education because we were explicitly looking to support the K-12.
Okay.
But I suppose you could design it wherever it fits.
Yeah. Does it articulate as an elective only course?
I don't know. That you're out of my league. I'm still learning all that stuff.
Okay.
But it is part, I'm assuming it must transfer as an elective, but I can ask.
That would be awesome to find out. Yeah, when we've been discussing the pathways and the courses that we're creating, we're looking at the articulations because many of the courses fall under that elective only option, and with CSU quite a bit. And we have to be careful on how we create some of those pathways with that information.
Well, we do have something that was approved for articulation in ethnic studies. So our ethnic studies for educators is qualifying as Area F CSU. So that was a coup that we just found out about last week. So we worked really hard on designing that to meet their criteria. So we're going to hopefully wrap that into the certificates too.
That's wonderful.
Yeah, we're hiring. We're looking for. We're building a part-time pool because we have two. We have that and then intro to ethnic studies. But the ethnic studies for educators is kind of an introduction to what ethnic studies is, but then how to use those concepts and practices. Again, weaving them throughout your curriculum. And so,
awesome.
So beyond just like multicultural, and really bringing in authentic experiences and identity development and resilience. And I have a feeling it's going to look different every single term, depending on who's in the classroom. So, yeah.
Wow. So maybe if you can send me the information for the hiring, I'll post that in our EDU.
Oh, sure. Yep, I will.
Yeah, next time we send one out, that way, if there's part-time people on the call, they can apply.
Yeah, we're specifically looking for someone who would meet the minimum calls for ethnic studies. So it could be African American studies, Chicana studies, women and gender, or straight out ethnic studies. And we'll probably have me be teaching at halftime and that person be doing it at halftime, since it's education focused and we're talking about how to weave it into the curriculum. Unless that person happens to come in with a K-12 insight, then I don't have to do it. But yeah, but we're committed to having it taught by someone in ethnic studies, even though technically I could teach it. It's not right for me to do so. So,
that's wonderful. Thank you.
Yeah.
We'll get that out there. Okay. So yeah, lots going on in the EDU world right now. We'll definitely keep expanding and sharing information as it comes up. And I know we have Rachel here and Deanna both. Rachel, can you give us an update on the ECE-COP?
Sure. Hi, everybody. So we met with the ECE-COP a couple of times. The most recent was last week, I believe, which was 3 months ago. And there was needing space for people to talk about mentoring and what that's going to be looking like. It was requested at a previous meeting. So we had set up an original meeting on mentoring, and we had a lot of information shared with us about mentoring and what's happening currently, because that program is sunsetting. And we found that we ran out of time because there was so much information shared that we opened up a space again in the middle of March to allow people to just come together and have a space to talk. And so we started with some breakout rooms. And one of the other things that we did was there had been a meeting Tuesday night of that week held by West Ed to kind of talk about the master plan and things that are happening at the state level regarding early childhood in the context of higher ed. And so what we also did was open up a space for people to debrief on that meeting, because there are a lot of people who are not quite happy over how the meeting was held and what was said. And so we opened up a space for people to talk about that as well, to think about our advocacy efforts moving forward. I sent out a follow-up email that has a survey, and we're right now trying to collect some data to help us with some advocacy efforts around mentoring and what that might look like at the state level through quality counts. But those are just the very beginning conversations, and we haven't really moved forward with that. So the next meeting is on May 7th, and we have a math workshop happening for faculty to look at resources that are available to them to be able to integrate those into curriculum. And so that will be happening. There's going to be this website that is being used. And so we'll go through the website, look at all the different resources, and people who went through a collaborative over the last year will be coming to share about their experiences and how they've integrated the work into their classes. And so that will be coming up on May 7th at 1 o'clock. And so the invite will be coming out shortly. So if you're not on the email list and want to be invited, just let me know.
Wonderful. Yes, Renee was filling me in this morning on how that last meeting went. So I'm glad you're going to have some time to continue to dialogue and discuss some plans for moving forward.
Yes, we're very much needing that.
It's, you know, and I think it's so interesting how we've all been continuing to push forward in the directions in which the EDU and ECE are going, or we're coming to a different space within the EDU realm. So we'll definitely continue to focus in and support ECE where we can. So thank you for all that you are doing. Yeah, appreciate it. I'm trying to see where we're at, make sure I know that she has other announcements, but I know Kathleen is on the call, and I don't know that where we put this in there, but since you're here, Kathleen, do you want to give us an update on how it's going?
Sure. Can I share screen?
Yes, you sure can. There you go.
Thank you. Hi, everybody. Happy Friday.
No. Happy Friday to the lady that's supposed to be retired, but still comes to every meeting for us.
I know. I miss you guys.
Hi, Kathleen.
So I'm updating all of you. Some of you already know, but it's been 3 weeks now. So just 3 weeks ago, the Academic Senate, the State Academic Senate at their spring plenary passed this resolution. So I can put the link in the chat of the final wording. And it is asking that both the Academic Senate, State Academic Senate, prioritize ECE and EDU, the sectors. These are some of the whereases because of the child care plan, because we have, we're the 5th highest ranking enrollment department in CTE, and of the 10 priority sectors, we would rank number 5 if we were a priority, but we're not. So we're asking to be a priority, which means we would have a sector director and access to resources, and we'll see. We'll see. But, you know, we're also the highest majority female sector. And our students are also, as you all know, non-white and high numbers of economically disadvantaged, disproportionately impacted students. So all the data points to we should be a priority, and why aren't we? COVID destabilized, serious teacher shortages, those are all the whereases. I'll put it in the chat if you want to see the final. It did get edited up until the day that it passed. So I was asked to edit. You know, it was too long and so, but it passed unanimously. So we're asking the Academic Senate both support us by providing technical assistance, technical support that they do with other sectors. We're asking that when they meet with the State Chancellor's Office, which is regularly, that they elevate our sector. And, you know, we'll see. It's going to be one of many things that, you know, we have to do. But let me put it in the chat here. And so if you want the latest link, because it's even, you know, more edited than it was before, but it did pass and there were no objections statewide. So that was good. Yeah, no objections, passed unanimously. And then the only other two things I wanted to mention were that in our region, the San Francisco Bay region, our regional joint venture was selected 10 days ago. And it's for creating in our region apprenticeships in ECE and EDU and growing apprenticeships. So that will be interesting. I wrote the plan and it did get selected. So in my retirement, I'll be doing that as a project. And I will say that in terms of apprenticeships, we are anticipating both federal and state funding. There is lots of energy in creating apprenticeships. And in case you haven't heard the data, only 6.7% of registered apprentices in California are women. 6.7. And the strategy has been to bring women to bring women to traditional apprenticeships. Hasn't been very effective because only 6.7% are. And so we're kind of arguing that, no, you need to bring the non-traditional apprenticeships to women who are already in the classes and in working. So I think we'll get a lot of traction with that rationale. So we'll see where that goes, and I'm happy to keep you updated. And then just one thing, circling back to the resolution, it has resulted in us getting a workshop on the Academic Senate, their technical assistance day of workshopping. And so we've got some folks who will be speaking, and I'll send to Renee the details. They want people to sign up. So it can be our regular faculty. It's really for faculty all over California, but we're also hoping we get some faculty that haven't been connected that are just going to hear about it from their Academic Senate. So yeah, that's it.
Awesome.
Thank you.
Thank you. That reminded me that Kathleen and Megan have been working on discussing those apprenticeships, so we can have some of that focus at our next EDU COP meeting in May. Yeah. So we'll cover that.
Great.
We're going to focus on that and work experience too. So I have a work experience instructor I'm hoping that will attend that day too, to kind of help with that. Awesome. Great. Let me jump back into our screen here. I'm trying to see meeting for. Rachel, you're still on the call. I just see this form here. Do we need to get the form out for anyone? You to talk about this.
Oh, that's the survey that we sent out. So if you want to send it out to other schools, it is just collecting data on what's happening for practicum in the fall.
Okay.
Across the state. So it's a survey that we were doing to collect that data.
Okay. Wonderful. Thank you. Okay. So thank you for the update, Kathleen. And then Megan, were you going to do the updates for ACTEP for us?
Yes, I was just typing something up and then I lost it. So
oh, no.
I was going to pop it in the chat. So let me find that in a minute. There's a couple updates. One was that we have a upcoming speaker series. We were going to have an ACTEP series, and these are for members and guests. Everyone can access it or the recording for no cost. You don't have to join. We had to combined the April and May sessions to make a session that'll be on, I believe, May 26th. I'll get it in the chat. And there's also an upcoming CCC-TPP/ACTEP joint meeting coming up on May 21st, I believe. So these are meetings that we'll hope you'll be able to join us or watch the recording for. One of the goals of the speaker series was to talk about ed pathways. And again, I'm trying to look through all my tabs at where that doc went. It is hiding from me, but I can put the description in. We're trying to look at different pathways and curriculum needs and have a lot of discussion. So the speaker series is a forum where you're going to hear from a panel of people that have various things to highlight, and then a lot of discussion, and it should be really rich. And then the joint meeting with CCC-TPP, we'll be talking about how to move forward in fall of next year and beyond with kind of getting synergy from all of our partnerships with each other and maximizing our time and getting the most out of all of our great efforts. And then the other thing, I'm blanking, I had just typed a third thing. I'm trying to think, what was that? Oh, it was our newsletters. ACTEP newsletters go out every quarter. It's the ACTEP quarterly. And thank you. A few of you have written for the quarterly before. We are always seeking the ability to spotlight your students and your programs. So whether you have something that's in your region or at your own campus, we would love to showcase that. So you can get in touch with me directly, or we actually have a Google form where anyone can say, hey, we have an event we want you to share. Just like you may email Shannon or Renee or me and say, hey, can you share about this event with everybody in the next informational email, right? So we want to do the same with showcasing different programs. So you're welcome to always share. And I am definitely just wrote back Rosemary. She shared those course outlines I mentioned in the chat. I already reviewed one of them on the side because I was so excited. And yes, we are definitely wanting to kind of move forward with things that are innovative and timely like that. So Rosemary, if you had any anything you wanted to share by the end of June, we can get that out in July.
Yeah, absolutely. I can. Let's talk about that. I'm batting down a lot of heads, but that's what I am bouncing out of my chair, excited about the ethnic studies class.
Yeah, that's
and because that's right up my alley. But I'm also thrilled about the paraeducator course because we have so much interest, and it's such a great thing for our students to be doing as they're earning their degrees. So like, there's just too many wonderful things. Yeah, so I'm happy to share and help with resources.
And you know, we can help write these. So when we're requesting a newsletter article, if you're like, I have some good content, but I don't want to be the author. For example, I could jump in and conduct it like an interview, and I could do a write-up, and that way you could just share resources at the top of your head and that you've kind of collected and sent to me, and I can kind of format it as, you know, and assess. So don't feel like it means, oh no, I have to write this, you know, newsletter article. We're just wanting to highlight you in any way that fits with your needs.
Well,
so
we got some fun stuff going on too, because my student success coach has been doing some really great programming for our pathways. So yeah, let's talk and
awesome.
We'll put that together.
Thank you. And everybody, if you ever have something, even those listening to the recording, I'll put my info in the chat in case that gets shared too. Thank you.
Wonderful. Yeah, that's going to be exciting. That'll be exciting to highlight and definitely reach out for opportunity. Maybe that's some things that we can discuss, Megan, moving forward for fall too. Those are both areas we could definitely look at. So perfect timing, Renee. We were just getting to start discuss the Teach for LA for next week. So
awesome. Thank you so much, Shannon. I apologize for being late, everybody. I was actually on an advocacy panel at College of the Canyons teaching the next generation how to advocate. And so I just had the opportunity for the last hour to meet with 50 college faculty and staff and share with them our different advocacy efforts over the last like 10 years and just kind of some of the things we've done that have worked. So sorry I'm late. Thank you, Shannon. I appreciate it. So let's get straight into Teach for LA. Oh my goodness, you guys. Everybody, we've got 36 workshops with over 700 people enrolled as of right now. Registration officially closes on Sunday morning at 8 a.m. If you have any students or faculty that would like to join after registration closes, please just have them email me directly and then I'll add them to my database. I'm closing it on Sunday morning for just sanity reasons. Honestly, it's hard to continually be having people add where it's out of my control. So one of the things I do want to point out about the conference, first of all, if any of you are teaching EDU classes right now, there are quite a few of the sessions that are led by credentialed teachers. I believe that we have 17 that are officially by credentialed teachers. And then there's some of the sessions where they didn't label themselves as credentialed, but if you've got a group of principals that are speaking or a principal that is speaking, that's a credentialed teacher as well. You keep all your credentials going. One thing I want to point out though is on Wednesday, May 5th of next week, we actually have a special day of Teach for LA, where it is going to specifically focus on some professional development for faculty and for TPP staff. And so those selections are here listed. Please know that that's just a small sampling of everything that's available that week. I do want to call attention to one in particular. Well, first of all, I'm totally biased on the textbook cost pathways because Shannon's such a leader in that area and she's doing some great work and I'm excited for her to present on that. But I'm also really excited about a partnership with CalSTRS where they're doing a session on pensions. And one of the things I'm really happy about this with is I think about when I was in the system in my 30s and I wanted to meet with retirement, I was told not to. And so now I'm 47 years old. I've paid into STRS, I've paid into PERS, I've paid into Social Security, and I was still told I shouldn't have meetings and learn now. And so we're flipping that paradigm. We're working with STRS on different ways that we can talk about financial literacy and financial freedom and what it's going to look like for our students. And so anyways, they're rolling out a workshop for us. They're also rolling out a workshop for our students next week. If you could please highly suggest people attend those, I'd appreciate it. The other one I want to mention on this list that I think will be really inspiring for a lot of people is the one that's at the bottom, My Latina Tribe, finding a tribe to support your personal and professional growth in meaningful ways. These are 4 Latina female administrators in TK through 12. And they're going to talk grassroots, how they're keeping sane during this pandemic, and how as Latinas they've banded together and they have this community where they come together weekly to support each other on this journey. I think it's going to be really powerful. I also see that oh, sorry, I see something else in the chat. I was thinking it was this one, but it's ACTEP coming up. So I hope that everybody will share it with their students. I hope that you will consider popping in for a session or two. I also want to just make a quick note. On Monday from 8:30 to 10 in the morning, we have our first keynote, which is Dr. Lisa Wilson. And Lisa is Lisa's a lot. Lisa's so fantastic. Lisa is the principal founder of the Coalition for Anti-Racism Education. Lisa is also the National Director of Equity for 0 to 3. And Lisa has also been a faculty member in our community college system, so I think she's going to have a unique perspective. And then on the tail end of the conference, Yadira is going to be leading a keynote session, where she's going to talk about her journey coming to the U.S. as an undocumented student, coming into our traditional, TK through 12 system as a second language learner, kind of some of the challenges that she faced during her journey. And then she's going to talk about how she's now a woman with her master's degree and who's a professor in our education system. And she's going to talk about her story. And I think it's going to resonate with a lot of the students that will be attending. And so I hope if you have any time next week, try to check out the keynotes. If you have more time, please try and dive into the conference and get involved in as much as you can. We also have Rosemary doing an exciting session. I mean, we've got some really good ones. Megan's doing some good ones. I mean, it's going to be a really, really great conference. I'm excited to see how many people show to everything. I really am. I think it's going to be awesome. So thank you for a moment to talk about that. And then I'm not sure what's next on the agenda. I'm sorry. Let me pull it up right now. Is everybody else like waiting for summer right now too? I'm ready for summer. Anybody else ready for summer? Oh, I just pulled up the Teach LARC agenda. I'm sorry, that meeting was before this meeting.
I just turned on my camera, so I didn't realize it was on. I'm trying to do 50 things at the same time.
It's all good. I don't know where I put I'm sorry, I'm like looking on my desktop right now, not finding. Oh, maybe this is it. I apologize, everybody. One of the things I want to point out in our agenda for today, if you're interested in Teach for LA, if you haven't had a chance to sign up yet, if you scroll all the way down to our agenda, you will see that there is the listing of every single workshop we have planned for the week. So please join us if you can. It should be really awesome. Any questions or comments about it? No? Okay. And just a quick check-in, has ACTEP already had a chance to share?
Yes, and I followed up with the newsletter information in the chat and also with the next speaker series that's in the chat too.
Excellent. Thank you so much, Megan. I really appreciate it. Also, just so everybody knows, our next meeting that we have coming up is a joint meeting with ACTEP. Steve and I have already been working. He already has the invitation ready to go. I said, let's just wait till we wrap this meeting today, and then he'll send the next invite out. I do want to call everybody's attention to let you know that since our next meeting is due to be on the Friday of Memorial Day weekend, we have bumped it to the Friday before, which is May 21st. And we're actually going to change the time just slightly. We'll be meeting from 11 to 1 that day. And it is to accommodate meetings that are happening at different times of the day that we know large groups of our, or large chunks of our group go to. Chunks is probably not the right word, but you know, everybody knows what I mean, right? I want to also share something that is coming up. Oh, I'm sorry, Megan. The joint meeting on the 21st is from 11 a.m. till 1 p.m. We also extended the time slightly because one of the frustrations that Steve and I had is that we were disseminating too much information at the last meeting and we wanted to be more collaborative. And so we want to really make sure that we can get out the information needed, but also provide space for everybody to talk and reflect together. And so we extended it a little bit because of that. So thank you, Megan. I appreciate you putting that out there. I do also want to share with you something really cool that is coming up. And if people are interested, I would love to encourage you to join. JSPAC, one of our partners, Joint Special Populations, has got an exciting panel coming up tomorrow. Yadira is actually the facilitator on it, but you're not going to see her in this webinar because she has done work for months working with these community college Latina students to get them ready to lead this couch discussion. So if by any chance you're available and interested, tomorrow from 10 to 11:30, we have the link there for Eventbrite that you can click on and you can join that JSPAC couch discussion. It should be really exciting. I'm also actually on that flyer that we have there too. I'm also going to be doing a presentation for JSPAC coming up on May 10th. I've been working with them on the concept of humanizing virtual learning for the last 10 months, and we're going to be rolling out a guidebook that we have put together to share with anybody who's interested. And so please check it out in case you would like to join us. So I will stop share. Well, actually, before I stop share, just so everybody sees, here's the conference. Now, and one thing with the conference, if you want to go to even one session, please just register because we are not releasing the Zoom links to anyone outside of those that are registered. And so we send the, for instance, like the Monday Zoom links are going out Sunday morning, and then the Tuesday Zoom links are going out Monday. And so it's like we're rolling out the Zoom links for the session day by day. We will let you know how that goes. This is a different way that we're doing it than compared to the last time. But, you know, anytime something is different, it's always new and exciting. So let me stop share. And with that, I want to open the floor. Steve just joined us, so that's good. Maybe he has something he would like to share as well. But I just want to see how are programs doing? How are things going for graduation? Do you guys have what you need? Are there still any gaps, or do you need any resources? So just how are things going? Hey, Steve.
Hey there, sorry I was late.
It's okay. I actually just joined as well. Shannon started us off today. So it's just a crazy time of the year. I appreciate everybody's flexibility. So any announcements or anything going on your campus that you'd like to share? I'll go ahead and quickly mention, Cerritos sent me an update earlier today. Cerritos is going to be doing a what did she call it? Like a car graduation or something like that. But basically it's a drive-through graduation, and they're going to have a campus-wide celebration. And then their teacher track is also having a video celebration for their students as well. So it's interesting to see what people are doing. I will tell you, Steve, on a meeting I was at for the LA region today, I shared how your campus is going to be able to have a face-to-face graduation and how you're inviting back your 2020 graduates as well. Any chance you could reflect on that with everybody? Because if there's any campuses that are still in any discussion, I don't know if you have any tips to kind of lean it to that way, or, I mean, I know it's such a tricky time.
Yeah, I have no idea how they did it, but I'm sure because a lot of the institutions in our area are using Angel Stadium, right? And that's where they're hosting it. And so, but the problem is that our graduation was normally on a Thursday night or a Friday night. Is going to be on a Tuesday morning of finals week. So that really, you know, in terms of we have students who have finals and faculty who are teaching, and there really hasn't been much communication about how flexible faculty are supposed to be with allowing people to attend graduation. So, but again, I think it's problematic because the people have finals or presentations that are all scheduled. How do you, I mean, I guess you have to be really creative and allow them to make that up. But anyways, but yeah, that's one of the, it's great for our students and great for, you know, the 2020 folks, but you know, it's problematic in terms of it's where, when they put it.
Steve, are they able to bring, like, are they limited with the number of tickets they get, or are they allowed to bring whoever they'd like to bring?
No, 2 guests. So they're structuring it. They're not going to be on the field. There's no stage. There'll be a section where students will be sitting, and then family members and guests will be sitting in other parts of the stadium. They won't walk. They'll just be recognized in their seats. So they'll stand up, be recognized, and I'm not sure if they'll be on the jumbo cam, whatever that is, but there's no stage walk, any of that kind of stuff.
Okay, interesting. Thank you for sharing. Rosemary, your hand's up.
You're muted, Rosemary.
Sorry about that. This doesn't have to do with graduation, but it's a question about partnering. I'm trying to still, I think from the time I started and before, we're trying to set up partnership. And we only have a university right across the street from us. And so we're trying to go down that path again. And I, at some point, would really appreciate chatting. It doesn't have to be in this space, but to get some insight on how that works for people who do have a CSU partner. So yeah, so at some point, if you're in that, if that fits your description, then please tell me. And if you have time, I'd love to hear, because I feel like we just keep reinventing the wheel, but yeah, so that's what I'd love, any insights. So.
I understand that, Rosemary. I had a situation where I had one CSU that was like super cooperative and partnered and active in advisory and would come and help out at conferences, lead sessions, like the definition of an active partner, right? You know, yeah. And I had another university, another CSU, where it literally to even find who it was on campus to talk to felt like pulling teeth.
Well, I'm a double agent now since I'm faculty at both. And so I seriously think that's the only way it's happening. And I actually am faculty in the undergraduate and the graduate program. So it's like, haha, I kind of have the inside scoop. But the politics and the layers and to be dead honest, this is something for this group, the ADT. Can we talk about the ADT? I don't know. And I don't know, again, I don't know all the deets on that, but that is a problem in this ball game. But also like the situation of the CSU, like, I don't like this word, but policing what's going on in our classes and wanting to like have control over it. I don't know to what extent there's communication. Like, I think communication back and forth, it would be a big asset for both schools, but I don't want overstepping on either side. So that's what I'm trying to figure out. I'm new to it. I am frustrated by the starts and stops because our students are getting lost in the middle. And like, I found out one of my students didn't get accepted over to Cal Poly because of, according to what we found out, was her GPA being too low. And she's like, that's not my GPA. So she's appealing it. But you know, just what can we be doing to facilitate this transfer process in light of this ADT that has classes in it that don't articulate, or that they don't need when they get to Cal Poly, at least. I would like to hear about how partnerships work, because we are trying to figure one out.
Rosemary, I have a really solid partnership with my CSU. They actually came and spoke yesterday to my Team Teach students for my monthly meeting. But it started slow and it took some time. We invited them to a lot of components that we were building, right? And we would show up to everything that they offered just to build that relationship. But now it's solid, and they create cohorts for my students specifically now.
Yeah. I'd love to talk with you about that, because we have this, like, on the faculty level, we're like, actually we're abusing them. They're coming and talking and talking and talking. They don't invite us over to talk, but anyhow, we take advantage of all their resources, and they've met with us on panels. They have started inviting our students into one program. It's for the elementary education. And I'm 3 years into my career in higher education, to be honest with you. So I'm learning all these things as I go, but I see this as like the ultimate opportunity. If we can't do it with someone who's literally working in all three programs, I don't know how how it's ever going to get done. So I would really value some of your time, Shannon, if you can fill me in on that. Thanks.
Anybody else want to mention? Oh, I was going to say, I think some others are going to want to speak on this too.
Yeah, so Rosemary, we had an old ADT that had a lot of the same problems with our feeder CSU. And about 2 years ago, we went through and we did a crosswalk of everything and put it in, and it was just finally approved with all of the craziness. So everything that the new ADT has at our school feeds in, except for maybe there might be 2 or 3 classes difference. And we worked really closely with some of our partners at our CSU. They now have a new department chair that started in the midst of COVID, like 6 weeks before COVID started. And so there's a lot of craziness going on there, and we keep on trying to reach out and with this new department chair, and it's been difficult to do. But we did work it out so that students going to that CSU would be able to do either a traditional path, would be able to do an expedited path with the smooth transfer, whatever they're calling it, and just have 2 or 3 class different options. But it took a long time and a lot of meetings and a lot of hard work. And we don't have anybody yet, because it's finally gotten approved. We don't have people yet to see how smooth the process is for students. At this point, we'll see. In a year or 2, I will come back with that information for you, but that's been our experience.
Thank you. Yeah, we have part of our problem is I'm dealing with a polytechnic. And so there is not the obligation to admit community members that there is at the other CSUs. And again, I say that like I know what I'm saying, and I sort of understand what that means. It's being played out in front of me constantly. And so what the undergrad doesn't know is that that we have some other little irons in the fire looking at degree completion. But we've been, I feel like we're like the little mouse getting played with by the kitty, it's kind of batting around the play and kind of messing around with you that's my metaphor for the day. And I just I want to cut through all that stuff, and let's what do we really need to do? I feel like, I'm a part-timer. If they don't like me causing trouble, they'll get rid of me. But I feel like right now I have that entree, so I want to maximize it. And so any strategies y'all can share with me. And so what I'm hearing is it's like, this is why we need that conference in August, y'all, because we should be working together, not trying to throw up barriers in between these transitions. So yeah, I think I appreciate that and will take any advice.
Rosemary, I'm going to give one bit of advice, and this one I almost feel silly even saying it. And then I'm hoping it looks like Steve might. Steve, are you going to say some stuff too? Because you look like you were going. Okay, good.
Yeah.
One of the things, and this is, I can't even believe I'm saying this. One of the things that made a huge difference with my Cal State Bakersfield partner was the day she said, "Hey, Renee, do you want to go grab some coffee?" And we got off campus and we sat in front of a Starbucks, just the two of us. And then I found out that she's got a daughter. And at that point, she was in high school and she was into dance. And, oh, wow, I have little kids that love dance. Your kid has a performance coming up? We live in the same town? Hey, any chance we could come to her performance? And then 11 years later, you know, she's still on she's still on the advisory at Canyons. I don't even work at Canyons anymore. I had a situation with the CSU the past couple months that it was a personal one with somebody in my family, and it's been substantial. She was the first person I called at 8 o'clock in the morning. I haven't talked to her, and I can't even tell you how long, Rosemary. And I just was like, "Hey, Debbie, can you chat?" And she's like, "Heck yeah, Renee, call me right now." Because she knew if I was texting her at 8 o'clock in the morning in the middle of the week with no context, something was going on, and I needed her, and she was there. And so I think part of it also is like, you know, it's so hard because we're always taught about being professional, but there's this really beautiful line between professional and personal, where if you are in a spot with somebody where you can interject one or two personal things, their level of investment with you may change based on that other connectivity. And so while going out to coffee seems like the simplest of things, actually in the past year, it hasn't been. Maybe it would be so new right now to meet outside and have coffee face to face that would be a catalyst for your relationships. You just don't know. And honestly, it was a very small thing that made a huge impact. And then Rosemary, it became like what we did. When either one of us was stressed out with our campus, it would be a text like, "Hey, Renee, do you want to go run to Starbucks this morning or run to Starbucks later this week?" And then we could talk through our campus stuff with somebody from another system, and we're off the grid. We're sitting at Starbucks doing it. So sometimes that informality, you know what I mean, can be significant. So Steve, what else were you going to say?
Yeah, similar. I mean, building relationships. And one of the ways that I've been doing it is like writing grants. So you write a small little grant and you find a faculty member who's willing to like engage with you, because that gets you deeper into the politics and kind of commits them to working with you in certain ways. So that's one way. And then presenting. So I would do a lot of joint presentations with my colleagues, you know, to talk about what we're doing. And that same type of camaraderie that we built when we were traveling together, when we could travel and sit together and plan a presentation, that really got us both deeper into the work that we were both doing and helped us figure things out. On a systemic level, the ADT is broken. So, and we know that it's not working correctly. And the liberal studies folks at CSU know that too. And so we've been working with the chairs of the liberal studies departments to try and create a task force to really unpack it and really even look even broader at the tools that the state gives us to work with, which right now includes a fully, it has to be 100% subject matter preparation program that has to be done all or nothing. And you know, there's a piece of legislation that's before a bill that would break up subject matter preparation into chunks where students could use coursework and pieces of the CSET to mix and match to meet subject matter competence. So, but what we've been injecting ever since is if that bill gets passed, that community colleges and liberal studies faculty have to be involved at the table when that is figured out, when that is lined up and figured out. That needs to include community colleges, because that can't be dictated to us and saying, "Oh, this is the package of what it's going to look like, and now your curriculum has to fit it," because that does not work. It doesn't work with the ADT. And so that's been part of, you know, my mission and my work, is to really try to bring our voice into that process. And we have the ear of the liberal studies folks. We both commented on that. Both the liberal studies chairs and ACTEP commented that at the commission meeting, at the last commission meeting. And we just have to be involved with those operationalizations of those things. And then we have to demand more. We have to demand more. Like maybe there needs to be community college teacher preparation programs that are their subject matter is certified at the lower division level, and then it's certified at the upper division level. And then we have our own piece of this, right? So it needs to be equitized in the fact that we prepare the students, we have to have our own pathways and not being asked to conform to a pathway that just doesn't really work anymore. So yeah, that's kind of like the front of my mind right now in terms of trying to like fix this stuff. And my goal is hopefully as we progress, that we can create a committee like you and Deanna and Shannon and other folks who have understanding of this, to create policy recommendations that we are putting forward as behalf of the community colleges to fix this broken pipeline. And so kind of that's what I'm thinking about, and knowing we're trying to work with a broken system, and that's the challenge.
Yeah, and I'm glad to know that that's a conversation, because like one of the things that, I mean, I'm coming into this partially informed, but there needs to be a way to respond to changes in content and curriculum, that it needs to be more flexible so that it can be real, not to make it like some easier way to get in, not to lower expectations, but to respond to changes in content, i.e. ethnic studies requirement, right there's something that to think about. And it's this, like, I view it in my head as this hard and fast box. You can't get in unless you do everything. And then if you don't, sorry, you're off, you have to start over, you have extra quarters. And that's one reason, like, our students aren't getting into their program, is because they take too long to get out and they have that graduation expectation. So count me in, you can count on me on that conversation. I'd like to learn more and be part of that solution.
I want to say something too, and I hope it doesn't come off as like rude, but in my experience, I've also had some of my CSU partners act as if somehow community colleges were not as good as. And so I believe that the hierarchy of education needs to be broken down. And I'll give you an example. I went into a CSUN meeting and all these people are like, well, Dr. So-and-so and Dr. So-and-so and Dr. So-and-so. And it's like, I can't call you by your first name? Really? Do you want me to send you my CV? Do you want to know that I have 2 master's degrees? Is that going to make me valid enough to be at this meeting today? I mean, there's debates over, is an EDD less valuable than a PhD? What the hell are we like? Where are our priorities when we are the people who are, stopping knowledge and fighting against each other and whatnot? There needs to be a way to be collaborative, but also, like Steve's saying, the equitable playing field or whatever, you know what I mean? Like, it needs to be like a system that believes that no matter where you are interjecting your influence, if you're in TK through 12, if you're in a community college system, if you're in early care, if you're in, the CSUs, the UCs, I mean, even as I'm saying it, as I'm saying the UCs, I'm physically going higher. Why the heck am I going higher? Why? Don't get me wrong. I got a great education at a UC, except I'm still paying it off. And I finished my last master's 15 years ago.
I just finished my last payment in December. I was so excited. And that was my teaching credential, not my master's degree. I worked at Fresno Pacific, and they gave me units to pay towards my master's. I only spent $5,000 on my master's degree, but I just literally finished paying off my teaching credential that I finished 20 years ago. Terrible.
Megan just said she rolled it into her mortgage. Megan, we refer to it as our second mortgage because it's my bachelor's, my first master's, my second master's, and my husband's MBA. 4 degrees. Thank God his mom could pay for his BA. That's at least 4 years somebody else helped us with. But, we don't, and it's not fair because my contributions should be as valid. Like it should be instant when we're saying, okay, we're going to have a talk about teacher preparation for the state. We go, where's our CSU? Where's our UC? Where's our community college? Where's our, it should automatically be, here's the list of who's invited every time, as opposed to, are we on the list? Are we included this time?
I think if we can really begin to find the focus with our student voices and put them at the forefront, I think that will change a lot of some of the systemic issues that we've been dealing with. Because the data shows that most students that go into teaching do start at a community college. And not just that, we as instructors at a community college spend our entire time working towards bettering what we do as instructors, and we're not working on research. The focus is the student. So I think if we can really begin to use the student voice, that will really start to change the lens.
Yeah. And it's, what you were saying to Renee and Shannon, what you mentioned earlier, Renee, that you're sharing in a workshop about humanizing the online courses and all. Well, it's the same thing. Like, one of the ways we humanize our online or any course is to remove this hierarchy within the classroom. It's the same thing within these systems, and all the more reason it's imperative that we continue these dialogues, like the conference in August. I don't care where it is, if it's on the moon. Well, moon I probably can't make, but you know, if it's
virtual, so everyone can be there.
Yeah.
Right?
And I think back to that, even though I was brand new at that time to this dynamic, I think about how powerful those conversations were, how I would be sitting with people at a table working in another system who had no clue what we are doing, and vice versa. And so I think, and when I sat and talked with the person who's my boss at Cal Poly, is the person I'm trying to make this thing work with, right? She didn't know what we were doing. And our students have been going over there for years. So I think that, and you know what? It's going to take the people who are on the ground, the boots on the ground, the people who are doing the work with the students, because I think that as we move through different systems, that the faculty are more and more removed from the students. So like Shannon said, and I'm sitting here in both, you know, with a foot in both worlds, looking at the differences and hearing what the faculty at one place are saying and the faculty at another are saying. So I think we have represented right here the people who are going to make this, you know, make this different for our students. And that's the thing, is foregrounding our students. So I like what you said about the student voice. I think that's what will get the attention. And that's what also has me all fired up. So I see that it does the same for the rest of you. So I think we are, we're the ones that are going to get it done. So that was a big question. Sorry to take all that time, but thank you all for contributing to my understanding.
You know, Rosemary, one of the things we were talking about with the statewide conference in August, which the dates have not been solidified yet. I just am being honest here. I need to run Teach for LA and get done with next week. One of the things that I'm not sure, I don't think everybody here knows, but my mom has taken 2 falls since February, and is now she's 86 and she's bedridden. So one of my new duties is I'm like a home health care nurse, like once or twice a week. And so it's just, I'm trying, but I just got to compartmentalize. And so next on the docket after I finish next week is getting everything grounded for August. So one thing though that I think is really important, and I love that Rosemary brought this up, to me, I think that we need to look at the structure of August conference to have ample opportunities for discussions. I almost think about like the COPs and like some of the stuff that's been done to open a space, and taking that kind of format in addition to having trainings and collaborations and everything else we want. But, you know, last time I think we were on a 2-day conference, and I'm thinking we might need to do a 2.5 or 3-day. But if we can do it virtually, then people will pick and choose what they want to be involved in. And then we don't have to worry about the travel. Plus we don't have to worry about the cost. Just alone to get the hotel and to pay for people's food is, I mean, we could charge, but then we'd be charging everybody probably $300 to $400 a person. And that's not who we are, especially not in a time of a pandemic where people don't have resources, you know, and programs. And so, I'm sorry, what did you say on that in the chat there, Megan? What do you mean there?
Oh, I mean, like, do you need us to tell you when we're starting? Are you trying to aim this before we
No, it might be. Last time we did it, depending on which campus, it was either close to start or immediately after starting. I think it was the 15th and 16th of August last time. Mm-hmm. It's going to be very similar with this, where it's going to be mid-month. We are going to hit into some problems, but we're going to try our best, because we don't have a statewide calendar. I can't calendar around everybody.
Right.
Which, unfortunately, I wish we did. I wish we had, honestly, I wish our calendars were more aligned by region. So you go, oh, well, the LA region, here's where they break for spring break. Here's when they start.
Oh, yeah.
It's campus by campus.
I think mid-August sounds really good.
Yeah. And I think
well,
that's
but I was going to say, Renee, but, mid-August, we already started at Rio Hondo. So it's like, it's just, I think it's crazy. There's no, I don't know. I've had that issue too, because I work at 2 colleges and then at the high school. So it just becomes so chaotic. You're talking mid-August. We already like second week of the semester with Rio Hondo.
But remember, the thing that's tricky is what we do at this conference, it impacts what we do at our campus, but it is it's a larger bird eye view. You know what I mean? And so it should make an impact no matter when we have it. And I'm trying to think of what the rationale was. Oh, you know what? The rationale for August was people like to travel in July. And so then it became, well, how early do we start in August? And then we just thought if we ground it mid-August, then people will come for what they're able to come for.
Yeah.
And I'll tell you, the last time we ran it face-to-face, we didn't have issues. We had hundreds of people show up in Sacramento on those 2 days in August, and some of them had to miss like different things on their campuses, but they came. Rosemary, you did? You're like, yeah, I did.
At this point, I think any conference, if you invite me to any conference, I'll go. I'll be there.
Oh, actually, I'm glad Yadira just said that. Okay, CCC AOE just this week sent out the conference notice for fall. Oh. They're doing a face-to-face and a virtual. I would like everybody on TPP to know, I have already talked to CCC AOE, and we will be having a social event hosted by TPP at that conference.
Is it going to be at the Omni?
It's going to be at the Omni in what is it called? Rancho Mirage. Yeah, it's like Palm Springs, a little bit north of Palm Springs. And so we have no idea if we'll be able to travel. We're going to figure all that out later. We're going to figure that out later, because it was funny on my advocacy thing. One of the things they said, what kind of stuff do you do to advocate? A huge part of it is showing up and having social things where people get to know who you are. That's one of the ways so it's why it seems silly sometimes to say, oh, we're excited to do this social event. Trust me, when it's after hours and, people are hanging out, that's when a lot of traction happens. A lot of stuff can happen. And so it's a great opportunity. I'm excited that we've officially, Amy right away was like, absolutely. We've been talking about it for a couple of years, but since the pandemic, we skipped and weren't able to. So she wasn't surprised that I emailed her the second it came out. It'll be fun.
If we can have an OER lens, I might be able to find funding to pay to go. Oh, just saying. That's where the money is,
You know what? We could do whatever we want, Shannon. I think it'd be very smart to have at least one session on OER and education pathways.
Yeah, ZTC degrees. Yeah.
I would attend the OER.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. What else? Renee, don't think that you have to plan by yourself for the fall. Use us.
Oh, no, I won't. Okay. I won't. And I'm just going to say who wants to be involved. One of the tricky things is we'll be doing a lot of planning, in May and June. So I don't want people to feel like they have to be involved, but at the same time, it's absolutely collaborative because we want to make sure that we're getting the right speakers and making the right connections. When we were on the radio with Sarah Neville Morgan a couple weeks ago, we already told Sarah that we'd like her to speak. And so she's Deputy Superintendent of TK through 12. And so she was like, yeah. And we also have said, we've also grounded that in terms of our highest level speakers we have at the conference, the representatives from each of the systems, we are going to explicitly be asking the female leaders of the education systems to be the leads at this conference and to be presenting, and not presenting, but on the stage as the big sessions happen.
Awesome.
Yeah, cool. A little different.
Yeah, love it. Well, I'm not going anywhere this summer now. We had to cancel our trip because our island is not open. So.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Okay. Yeah. My daughter's getting a pig for FFA, so it worked out okay this year that we're going to be raising a pig all summer.
Nice.
Yeah, so very exciting with that. And we definitely, let's get the CSUs involved in the UCs. Let's invite them. Let's get them there. Let's have them be presenters with us. Co-present, not present on their topics, but co-present with us on the pathways that we're creating.
That'd be interesting if we make a grid in terms of who we want to be there and literally start going region by region. Who do we have? Our CSU. And I mean, because really be intentional about who is going at each one of these sessions, I think would be really smart.
I could probably get my counselor and the advisor we work with for the ed degree at Fresno State to do a co-presentation on the pathway. That would be pretty cool.
I know I can bring in Bakersfield at any time. If we ever want Bakersfield, that's
well. I'm sure. I thought Kim was going to be here too. Kim Bly, she's at Bakersfield City College, and she works directly with Bakersfield College.
Yes.
So lots of opportunity for sure.
We've been lucky with Bakersfield. They work with a lot of us because they have the Kern residency program. And so it really kind of dips into multiple areas of the state that can, that they can be recruiting from. So it's a smart campus,
It is. yeah, they're nicely centrally located where they're at for sure.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So
So
awesome.
any of your comments about collaborating with CSUs or the upcoming conference, or just any other thoughts? I think we're going to be wrapping a little early today. I almost feel like I'm jinxing it by saying that.
Okay.
Okay, Deanna, what are you talking about there? And is it you talking directly with Rosemary? Is there a new certificate? Oh, okay.
Yeah. So we just had an advisory board meeting, and it's very, very exciting. They were very supportive of some of the ideas, this ECE-EDU certificate that we're proposing, because so many of our students move between and things like that. And then we are collaborating with our newly forming ethnic studies department, where it will be teaching with equity. The title hasn't been clear, but it will partner child development classes with ethnic studies classes. We are talking about creating a 1-unit class to fill out the certificate that would perhaps be co-taught by child development EDU staff, faculty, and ethnic studies faculty, all looking at, with that equity lens and history and understanding. And so it's in the very, 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 very beginning baby stages of it, but really exciting possibilities. So yeah, when Rosemary was talking earlier about the certificates, I was like getting on Questa's website going, what can I find out more about this? I don't need to recreate the wheel. That's awesome.
Yeah. Yeah. We are working on updating the website. Yeah, I'd love to talk with you about that, because my focus is on anti-racist, culturally sustaining pedagogy. And so I'd love to have a conversation with you about how you put that together and how you're able to do it, and what it ends up looking like.
Yeah, that would be wonderful.
Deanna and Rosemary, may I suggest, if you're able, or if you're willing to, when you have that conversation, would you be willing to open it up to others to join? Because I think other people will want to talk about this. I think we're quite a few are trying to figure it out, and the more kind of brain trust we could have, probably the better.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, as far as I'm concerned, the more the merrier, right?
Yeah. I just want to pretty much I live and breathe. So
also, you may want to contact Citrus College. Ginger at Citrus College is working on a secondary pathway, or trying to figure that out. And so I know we need to look at the CID and look into how, we get that changed and whatnot. We need a subgroup working on that. But I think we could still continue progress in this direction simultaneously as we're looking at that other piece.
Yeah, ours is just a certificate. It's not a degree yet. But it's a certificate that just basically gives them what they'll need to get into their credential program.
Great.
I just wanted to say that if there's ever anything you guys want to share on a statewide level that you want me to post on the website, there's a number of different places that we can post it. We have one page that's actually called Resources for Educators. We also have, the different areas of the model that are broken out into independent pages that we could put things on if they pertain to student outreach and engagement, career exploration and work-based learning, cross-system alignment. If they pertain to a specific area, I can post it in a couple different places on the state website if you want to have shared resources somewhere, so that you can just send people to that link to go to that spot, whatever.
I love the idea of the shared resources, Bobby.
Yeah, because we have a couple different areas where we have things that people have said, hey, I'm willing to share this with everybody. Here it is, whatever. And I just post it.
Love it. Well, I don't mean to be weird, but the more sharing we do, the more collaboration there is. It's funny because I'm on Facebook and I'm a little bit on LinkedIn, but not on any other platforms. But anytime Teach California puts something out, I share it as quickly as I can. And it's really funny because Teach California will then like my share almost instantly. And so I sent a message to Teach California saying, hey, do you mind getting this out? And it was a matter of seconds where, hey, Renee, here's what we crafted. We're going to post this on all of our platforms. Does this look good to you? Let us know if you have any changes. And it was like, for every time that I did it on my side, it was like, oh my gosh, it works so fast when it was their side. So, you know, whatever we can do. Oh, you got that email today. Great. I love it. I love it.
Teach California is one of our strongest partners as far as sharing on their social media. They're quick and they're very open to doing that.
You know what's ironic too is we were in the application for another group that was going for Teach California where we would have been a formal partner, but they didn't get it. And guess what? Teach California was like, hey, do you want to work together? And we're absolutely. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if we get the funding or not. We're going to work together. So any other comments or questions or thoughts before we wrap for today? Well, let's go ahead and, oh my gosh, we're 10 minutes early. I hope everybody has a fantastic weekend. And I hope I see some of you next week at Teach for LA. It should be awesome. And if anybody needs anything, please don't ever hesitate to email or text me, or if I can be a resource to connect you or whatever. Special thanks to Shannon. I knew a couple weeks ago about this challenge I would have at the beginning of the meeting, and she's always a partner and always a leader. So thank you, Shannon. I appreciate you.
No problem.
Well, everybody have a great rest of the day.
Yes.
Bye, everyone. Have a great weekend.
Yes, you too.
Bye. Thank you.
Bye.
Bobby, of course, we can jump on another call right now.
Or if everybody just wants to log off.
Well, no, it's Shannon.